Hello everyone, this is Yash Saxena, your shadow consultant, and we are in an initiation phase of your robotics process automation project management program. So in last video, we discussed about RACI matrix. We discussed about how exactly your governance structure should look like when you implement RPA program. In this video, we are going to talk about due diligence. You don't have to get confused in what phase you want to use your RACI matrix, because we used in pre-initiation phase, or you can also call it as a penultimate initiation phase. You can also use your RACI matrix in initiation phase. But remember, it's important for you to decide roles and responsibilities for all the key deliverables which you have identified in your project management for robotics process automation. All right, so we are in initiation phase right now, and now the important activity which we would talk about is due diligence. Yes, that is what the first activity which we discussed in our RACI matrix. So due diligence is the first thing which we are going to talk about. Now due diligence is a very high level perspective of looking at things. When you do a due diligence, you basically deep dive into a process. It's like you are diving into a swimming pool and you have to bring out the coin which is lying at the depth of a process. At the first, you will look and analyze the depth of the swimming pool, and then you dive and passes through all the levels of depth and reach and pick that point. Your due diligence would work in the same way. You analyzing the depth means you have to look at the process from a high level, understand whether it is a good candidate to automate, is it a potential candidate to automate. There are certain parameters how to assess a potential candidate we'll talk about, and then you would do the application assessment, because applications are very important. Some application can support robotics process automation, some application would not. When I say robotic process automation, I'm referring to technology supporting robotics process automation like Blue Prism or Automation Anywhere, any tool which you would be implementing in your organization. And then you would assess the volumetric or volume of your process, which is again very important. If there is volume, there would be people, and if there are people, there would be redundant or manual work. And then we would do the operation onboarding. We would involve people from operations and probably frame a particular people framework for them. So first thing, identifying the potential candidate for your process. There are two things which you should keep in mind while you are going to identify the potential candidate for automation. The two key things of a process: first is your process criteria. Second, your process action. Let's talk about what are these things. Now, process criteria, when I say robotics has a certain criteria on which you would evaluate that process. You can have your own checklist, you can have an in-depth checklist, or you can have a high-level checklist. Let's discuss the important pillars of process criteria. First one, volume. Very important one. You need to understand, is your process high in transactions? Are there a good number of volume? You need to understand the seasonality of your process. Why seasonality is important? Let's talk about it. You identify a process. Now you know that there are around 300 transactions or 300 calls or 300 invoice or 1000 invoice per month. But you didn't do seasonality analysis. Later on during your robotics implementation, you realized while you are into a testing phase in the month of November or December, there is a dip in your volume. Your volume has dropped to 50%. Would you be able to test your process? No. Because since there is cost involved with respect to time, it would be too late for you to have the remediation plan at that point of time. So understand, do the seasonality, check the trends of volume, and there has to be a good number of volume or transactions in your process. So the first criteria is volume. Second criteria, routine work or a rule-based process. Now we all know that robotics is very friendly with rule-based process. If the process follows a certain set of rules, for example, the process follows step A, B, C, D, and every other time if somebody is sitting on the system is repeating the same activity, routine activity A, B, C, D. So it becomes a cakewalk for any RPA technology to handle those processes. So there has to be a routine activity or a rule-based process should be there. Third, your process should be stable. Stability we'll understand in two ways. First, there shouldn't be any changes planned in your process in near future. If there are changes which are bound to happen in your process in the future, for example, there has to be changes in application. For example, your organization is working on long-term strategy of changing application. Now, that's why this is very important, because you have onboarded the application team during the producing a framework of your robotic process automation, so it becomes very easy for you to have a proper handshake between those teams, and those teams would keep you calibrated if there are any changes planned in future. So, if there are changes planned, not a good candidate. Again, are there any continuous improvement initiatives which are going on your robotics process automation or in your process? If it is, then you need to revisit your strategy, because since continuous improvement strategy would involve some changes on application, or would involve some changes in terms of people or process modification, or is it a design for Six Sigma strategy which is going to happen in the process, again there would be a collide of your automation implementation and then that continuous improvement initiative. So you don't want that. So make sure that your process is stable in terms of operational activity, and check the stability for at least 3 years or 2 years. Next one, is your process standardized? I would not say your process standardized, I would rather say are your inputs standardized? So for example, you have an invoice process. When your agent or your representative receives an invoice, sometimes he is receiving in a form of PDF, sometimes he is receiving in a form of Excel, sometimes in a form of scan document, image document, and blah blah blah. Now, that would be a challenge, because OCR is not matured to that level. The success rate of OCR is not 80 or 90%. The most smartest OCR would run at the efficiency of 50 to 60%, and even it can go down below that level. So, make your inputs standardized. If it's a PDF, make all it as a PDF. Don't segregate your input in terms of different files, and all files are talking in the same language. So make it one PDF or one Word file or one image file if you want to. Standardize the other steps of the process as well. Okay, now what's other thing which you talk like? Now let's understand process actions. Process action. So by action mean these are the actions of the people working in your process. What kind of actions is your process usually involved with? For example, are there many mouse clicks involved in the process? Are there many navigation between the applications are involved in the process? The reason we are looking at it, because if it's more of a mouse click, then it becomes fairly easy to understand, this process can be easily automated. If there is a navigation between a screen, so navigation between a screen is time consuming. Clicking on various fields and tabs of various applications is time consuming. Yeah, it's a good process for automation. And in the application, or is it more of a field entry job which is happening? So your representative is picking in some information from one application and putting it in some field, doing search or fetching up the detail. Again, a very good process or a very good step to automate. Is it more of a copy and paste which is happening in the process? Copy and paste is again a redundant activity. By looking at the process, by looking at the high level, if there are more of a copy and paste actions involved, obviously a very good candidate to automate. Are there many logins and logout involved in the applications? I have seen a process with 20 applications. Imagine if somebody is logging in 20 and log out of 22 applications, how much time it consumes. So what RPA tool would do, it logs in all the applications at the back end, and when your representative logs in, all the application would remain open. In the same way, it would work with logout. So look at the mouse clicks, look at the various navigation between applications, look at the copy and paste which is happening on the applications, look at the logins and logouts. So these are the process actions which we're talking about. So remember two things. When you're looking at the potential candidate for a process, look with the process criteria first, and then look with the process action. And if they both are running parallel, very good process to automate. We can go ahead with this one.